play the game. It's all about the game and how you play it. All about control. And if you can take it, all about your debt. And if you can pay it, it's all about pay. And who's gonna make it? I am the game, you don't wanna play me. I am control, no way you can shake me. I am heavy debt, no way you can pay me. I am the pain, and I know you can't take me. Look over your shoulder, ready to run like a Cleveland bitch from a smoking gun. I am the game, and I may lose. So move on out, you can die like a fool. Trying to figure out what my move's gonna be. Come on over, sucker, why don't you act me? Don't you forget there's a price you can pay. Cause I am the game and I want to play.
Pound for Pound Entertainment and Ferocious Promotions proudly present Spence vs. Crawford Big Fight Preview with 5-decade fight trainer James Gogue.
Guys, we want to welcome to you for this special Easter celebration and presentation brought to you by Undisputed Pound for Pound Entertainment and Ferocious Promotions. Guys, happy Sunday, happy Easter. Hope you guys had a very enjoyable holiday with your family and friends. Now it's time, well, our extended family from War Week Radio, now it's time to spend Sunday with your Uncle James Gogue. James, this evening, sir.
Good evening. Good happy Easter, everybody listening in.
I tell you what, guys, and it wouldn't be a Sunday without the counsel of the phenom, the prodigy, the always talented and insightful young Billy Boxing. Young Bill, how are you, sir?
Awesome. I'm with Coach Gogue.
I'll tell you what, guys, hold on. Before we move forward, acknowledge everyone already in the panel, and I'm sure you guys already have a lot of questions for Coach Gogue. And before we get started breaking down Crawford versus Spence and talking about last night's ass stomping, we do have to say this, guys, make an announcement. It was just announced that amateur phenom just signed a professional, was set to make his pro debut in a couple weeks. He signed a professional contract with Pro Bellum. Ali Tazim, he was dubbed the next Amir Khan, was just killed in a car accident at age 18.
Where's he from?
He is comes from Great Britain, and he was signed by Sam Jones in Pro Bellum just 3 weeks ago.
Isn't
right?
Pro Bellum that Daniel Kinahan outfit? You know, he
well, there are a lot of, it's Richard Schaefer and company. There are a lot of really smart boxing executives, but the point is, guys, at age 18, Ali Tazim is no longer with us. So our thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. God have mercy on his soul. Boy, that's so tragic, unfortunately. You know, yeah, those things happen, especially, and it seems like our sport is cursed, Gogue. It happens. Look at Salvador Sanchez.
Yeah.
It just happens sometimes. So, guys, our thoughts and prayers this Easter holiday go out to him. But, guys, let's before we get Gogue pick his brain, let's say hi to everyone in the chat. Guys, our brother Rodney Evans says, Kingpin Crawford, all you girl down fans, get ready because your favorite fighter getting knocked out, liver shot in 10 rounds. Well, we'll see what Gogue has to say about that. But thank you for joining us, Rodney. Also want to say hi to our brother Peter from Tijuana. He says, got cruised by TKO 188, minus 188, and Spence by KO TKO plus 200. Easy money, Joe. Well, easy for you, brother, but a lot of people going into this fight were picking Ugas. Not Coach Gogue. And not young Bill either. Let's see. Want to give a shout out to our brother Big Luke, who I think is already catching some Z's. He says, catch your night owls later in the mornings. He's a school teacher in New York, I think it is. God bless you, brother. Listen to us. You can catch it on demand in the morning, my friend. Our brother Lenar, Like I stated during Goge's show, we do take all of your questions, and we ask them to Coach Gogue, but we do not let anyone on live tomorrow. Our live show with the forum is tomorrow, either on mine or Young Billy's show. Also, my brother Tyrese Blue says, let's go. You talking crazy on Twitter? Laugh out loud. Please remind me, because I said a lot of things on Twitter today. It was Sunday, and I was feeling a little saucy, brother. So please remind me of what I said, and we can tangle on the forum. My brother here to there. Happy Easter to you, brother. Salute, Joseph. Coach Joseph would love to hear Coach speak on game planning for JMM with Jim Rex and the incomparable Lawrence Cole. We'll talk about that later if we have time, because, boy, we saw Lawrence Cole, almost drop a deuce, man, in the center of the ring last night.
Yeah.
Also give a shout out to our brother Jesus M. Thank you for joining us. Jesus M says, Stanionis versus Butea, fight of the night. Joel Diaz, just horrible instructions in the corner during break. I'll tell you what, it was a damn shame that and Young Bill had the beat. He said, you know what, that fight's so good, it should be in front of a live, captive audience. And he was right. That's all that fight was missing, was that electricity from the crowd. Also give a shout out to our brother Antonio Luna. Boom to you, brother. Happy Easter to you, my friend. Chicano Prophet, thank you for joining us, sir. Happy Easter to you. Goge spits out water in the air, and he's obviously referring to his new intro song, It's the Game, by metal legend Ian Let Me Kill Mr. and Motorhead. It's the song that Triple H used to come out to in WWF. Also, our brother Tarian Falk, salute War Week in the chat. PBC pay-per-view are a bunch of BS. No way last night's card was pay-per-view worthy. I got unifications and undisputed title fights cheaper and more exciting. Well, beauty is indeed the eye of the beholder, brother. And last but not least, well, two more actually. Salute to Big Joe, Young Bill, and the living legend himself, Coach James, Uncle James Gogue. God bless you, brother. He is indeed a living legend in the fight game. And our brother, Pound for Pound, if you haven't already subscribed to his channel, please go do so. Salute, hit the like button, please. And oh my gosh, it's been a minute. Got our brother Snoop C back. He says Ugas was too pensive to throw those flailing but hurtful slap punches on Spence. He was afraid of the consequences. He had no problem landing them on Manny, who was shorter fighter. Well, we'll ask Coach. Well, here's the deal, though, Coach. Everyone, like we've been listening to other channels and all of our colleagues and everyone on the YouTube boxing community talking about and reviewing ad nauseum almost Spence versus Ugas and the beatdown that took place in AT&T Stadium last night. But we're going to turn things around and do things a little different, because we've been hearing everyone's critique of that fight. Rather than doing that, we're going to start off, because I received several direct messages, probably about 20 of them, asking me how Coach sees a fight between Spence versus Crawford. So that's what we're going to start out doing, guys. Okay, so, and once again, what spurred all of these inquiries on was post-fight commentary by Errol Spence Jr. When that asshole Jim Gray stuck a microphone in his face, he said, well, what's next after this, Spence? Errol. And he said this, everyone knows who I want next. I want Terence Crawford next. That's the fight I want. That's the fight everyone else wants. I got these straps. I'm going to take his shit too. Man down, it's strap season, baby. Terence, I'm coming for those MFing belts. That's right. That's the fight that I want. That's the fight everyone else wants. I got these straps. I'm going to take his shit too. Okay, so this is what Terence Crawford had to say via Twitter. He said, Errol Spence Jr., congratulations. Great fight. Now the real fight happens. No more talk. No more side of the street. Let's go. And he also said, Errol Spence Jr., keep my belts warm. I'll be coming to grab them later this year. So, guys, that sets up Goge's take on this seemingly imminent showdown to determine the undisputed welterweight champion of the world later on in either August or September. Gogue, your thoughts on this fight, and who do you favor going into it after last night's brilliant performance from Errol Spence Jr.?
Look, man, this fight should have been made years ago, man. But these fucking clowns, you know, that's the way boxing is nowadays. It's full of politics, and the fighters, you know, they really don't want to fight each other, you know. And this fight should have happened a long time ago when these guys were younger and they were more in their prime. Okay, when it was a lot hotter. Now, they're finally getting it together. We'll see. We'll see when that announcement's made and the contracts are signed. I'll believe it. But yeah, Joe, there's a lot of lust, man. When this fight wasn't made, time after time after time, I was like, man, fuck them guys. That's what I said. I don't give a shit. Now the fight's made, it's like, So,
well, I will say this, Gogue. I will say this, and excuse me.
You there?
You there, Joe? Oh,
Sorry, guys. I had to. Yeah. Anyway. Well, Gogue, I will say this. Last night, Errol Spence Jr. was trending on Google, and since calling out Terence Crawford, well, everyone has been buzzing on the internet. It's kind of reinvigorated the franchise, reinvigorated the matchup. Everyone is buzzing about this fight, calling it this generation's Leonard versus Hearns. Young Bill, what are your thoughts on this matchup before we turn things over to Coach Gogue?
Joe, it's two guys that I've never seen anybody impose their will on either one of them, and that's the biggest key in this fight, the adjustments. Errol Spence, the machine, like you said, this guy threw almost over 1,000 punches last night, Joe, on a 15 to 16 month layoff. Terence Crawford is one of the greatest, like Coach always says, one of the best at judging distance and range, period. Also just counter punching. He punches when you punch. So I want to see if Errol Spence will be able to keep that activity up with the guy that punches when you throw and throws his counter shots with maximum violence and bad intentions. So I've never seen either one of them have their will broken, and that's why this fight is so important, and that's why this fight is so paramount, and it's for all the marbles. So that's why I'm excited about it.
Indeed, and most fans seem to be excited about it. Coach Gogue, are you ready to break this down, sir?
Yeah.
Because we've been waiting all Easter Sunday, brother. Now the turkey is put away. The ham is put away. The stovetop is put away, brother. We're ready to go. Here's the tell the tape for the current WBO welterweight champion of the world, Terence Bud Crawford. He comes into the ring at age 34. He fights out of the southpaw stance sometimes. He stands 5'8" tall in the center of the ring. He fights behind a lengthy 74-inch reach. He was born and now still resides in Omaha, Nebraska. He comes into the record with a perfect record of 38 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws, 29 big wins coming by way of knockout. Coach Gogue, what's there to like about Terence Bud Crawford?
Like I said, I previewed this matchup 3 years ago when it should have happened, but this fight, it's still the same. Both fighters are, pretty much. They haven't slipped yet. Okay, they're still performing at a high level. Crawford, man, he's the game's one of the best. I say he's the best right now in controlling range and distance. An ambidextrous, highly skilled switch hitter. Okay, he could go right-handed, left-handed, and his jab from either stance is highly effective. Doesn't miss a beat. His ability to counter from either position doesn't miss a beat. A high boxing IQ can make those adjustments on the fly and everything. Physically strong and can punch. Excellent in setting traps. He's good at setting traps. Excellent in, taking advantage of your mistakes. But like I said, Joe, his ability to switch stances, going back and forth to stay one step ahead of you. His lead hand, the jab or the right jab or the left jab, equally effective. But I like I said, Joe, in the past, his ability, if he's in the left-handed stance, okay, and he's controlling you and he's comfortable and he feels that you're not getting any momentum, okay, he's going to stay in that stance. But once he feels that momentum is starting to shift to your side, okay, he's losing control of the fight. Then he'll switch stances just to break your rhythm, okay, break your timing. Boy, that's very, man, that just, like I said, all that momentum that you got going all of a sudden comes to a screeching halt and everything. So, yeah, Joe. Yeah, he's, you know what I mean? He's definitely, to me, I have him listed as the best pound, him and Canelo as the best pound for pound fighters in the world and everything.
Wow, I tell you what, I can't wait to see this, Coach. And yeah, that's why most ringside observers, most experts, they have Terence Crawford listed as at least their number one or number two best pound for pound fighter in the world. And I don't think that's any coincidence. Now let's take a look at the tell the tape of the now 3-belt champion, unified champion at 147 pounds, Errol Spence Jr. The truth comes into the ring at age 32. He fights out of the southpaw stance. He stands 5'9.5" tall in the center of the ring. Fights behind a 72-inch reach. Originally from New York, now from DeSoto, Texas. He comes into the ring and just improved his record to 28 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws, 22 big wins coming by way of knockout. Coach Gogue, what makes Errol Spence Jr. so effective in the ring up to this point?
You saw it last night, his ability to get inside the pocket and break it down, okay? His inside game, Joe. I talked about it last week. Everything I talked about last week, his game plan, what he needed to do to beat Ugas.
It was perfect, Coach. It was perfect.
He did it. I mean, he's inside. That's what he does best, okay? His inside game, his ability to throw combinations to the body, head, body, creatively like Canelo. What do you call it? And he's resilient and he's relentless, Joe. Okay, all right. He's never satisfied. He always has that hunger. Once he gets inside, that's where he wants to be. Okay, he's got a lot of meanness and toughness in him when he gets in that pocket with a high skill level and he's smart, Joe. He exploits those openings. Close up in close quarters, and he creates openings, okay, by the combinations he throws. He's resilient, Joe, on the inside. Not only that, Joe, he's a good boxer from the outside. He has a real good long lead jab, that right jab, and his footwork, moves in and out real good. Yeah, and he has a real high guard defense. He's real smart. If you hit him with a good shot, he'll make that adjustment, and make sure not to get hit with it again. But his strength is right there in the pocket, like last night, Joe. You seen it. He just broke down Ugas and with attrition of shots, round after round after round. The uppercuts, the body shots, the short hooks to the head, everything. I listened to that. I usually don't listen to the breakdown. After the show's done, I usually don't listen to it, but this time after the Spence fight, after he won, I listened to it again yesterday to see what I thought, what I said, and I was pretty much accurate, on what I said on what Spence needed to do to beat Ugas. And it's going to be the same thing with Crawford, same exact thing. Get in close, make it a phone booth war, okay?
Yeah. Young Bill, before we move forward and ask Coach Gogue what the keys to victory of both fighters are, do you have any questions for Coach Gogue regarding last night's fight and that big victory against Yordenis Ugas?
Hey, Coach, I just want to know, how big is Errol Spence actually, if this fight gets made, going into a training camp back to back? He hasn't done that in almost 3 years. To be able to fight in twice in a 6-month span, I think that would be, how beneficial would that be for a guy that's that active already?
That's good. He'll stay, he'll still be kind of sharp. You know what I mean? He won't have that long layoff. What did he say after the fight? Remember I told you, Joe, in the breakdown last week, he was coming off a long layoff. It's going to take him a few rounds to get that rust off him, to get his timing and rhythm.
Yep.
Remember I told you that?
Yep.
And what did he say in the interview afterwards? He said the same thing I said. Am I right, Joe?
No, he sure did. That's exactly what he said. Yep.
He said, I haven't been fighting a while, so it took me a few rounds to get into rhythm. Damn, I've seen these guys fight all the time, man. I don't even need to watch tape, and I know what their game plan is going to be. You know what I mean? He ain't going to change nothing for the Crawford fight. He's going to do what he does best, and that's ground and pound in the pocket. Power running game, I call it.
And there it is. And there it is. I tell you what, then, what would be then, Coach, the keys to victory? Because most experts that I talk to, they're not on the fence with this one. Most of them seem to believe that Crawford is going to, well, spark Errol Spence Jr., hand him his first professional loss, go through him like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah.
What does Crawford have to do to look effective against, well, someone I've never seen look good against? And that's Errol Spence Jr.
Basically establish range and distance. Control range and distance as much as he can from the right-handed, left-handed position. That's what makes him so good, Joe. That's what's going to confuse Spence, his ability to go right and left. You know what I mean? Get that jab established, okay? Set traps, sharp counters. But main thing, once he gets his jab established, Joe, and his movement around the ring, you know what I mean? And if he catches him with counters, he's got to hurt Spence. Spence is a bully. What do bullies like to do? They like to take your lunch money. So the best way to, put fear in a bully is punch him in the mouth. And he's got to get his attention early on, okay? He's got to get and hurt him. So it kind of puts fear into Spence's head about, just come walking in straight like he did with Ugas and everything.
Wow. So what would be the keys to victory? Because once again, and just as I said going into the
victory is that control range distance. You don't want to get in a phone booth. You don't want to get in a phone booth war with Spence. Once you get there, tie him up, smother him, tie him up as much as you can, man. You know what I mean?
No, got you. Now I was going to ask you, and once again, it's the same scenario. This is what makes this matchup so intriguing. And young Bill touched on this. Just as I said, I've never seen anyone able to control range or look good against Errol Spence Jr. Well, the same can be said for Terence Crawford.
Yeah.
So what? I mean, this is a completely different animal. Both guys will be looking at going into this fight is what makes this fight so amazing. So I'm going to ask you, what does Errol Spence have to do to beat Terence Crawford? What are the keys to victory for EJ, sir?
Establish that jab, okay? Establish that fat. Use his forward, moving in and out of range to confuse Crawford. So Crawford can't time him and counter. But, in and out of range, establish that jab, close the distance, okay? Crawford's going to be moving around the ring, okay? Cut all escape routes off. Cut all of his escape routes off by the ropes or in the corners. Try to make him a stationary target as much as possible. And you do that usually on the corners of the ropes. And once you make him a stationary target, don't let Errol Spence tie him up. Okay. I mean, don't let Crawford tie him up. Okay. Don't let Crawford tie you up. Okay. All right. Because if Crawford ties you up and everything, man, it's gonna, all that work and all that momentum you got to closing the distance, and he ties you up, breaks your rhythm. Okay, then you got to restart yourself and everything. Okay, so don't let Crawford tie you up. You know what I mean, or smother you. Keep that space. You know what I mean. Keep that space you need to operate effectively at close range. You can throw them short, sharp, crisp combinations from all angles to the body, head, body. But yeah, that's what I would do. Crawford's gonna be moving. Okay, he's gonna be setting traps like he did with Porter. So he's got to be careful, moving in and out of range, man, not to get caught in one of them traps and get hit with one of them sharp counters and get hurt. Okay, so that jab has got to be effective, man. That jab has got to be effective for Spence when he's closing the distance, using his footwork, getting closer and closer, moving laterally, left to right, eliminate them escape routes and pin them on the ropes or in the corner. That's going to be his high chance and high probability of being most effective when he has them as a stationary target. In the center of the ring, Spence is going to tie him up if it gets close.
Oh, Crawford is going to tie him up when he gets close. Yep.
Not Spence. Excuse me. Crawford is going to tie him up. Sorry.
It's all right.
Crawford's physically strong where he can, he can get in there and wrestle with Spence, man. because Crawford used to be a wrestler. Okay.
You know what? That's an excellent point, Gogue. One that I completely forgot about because I was just going to say I've never seen anyone successfully tie up Errol Spence Jr. And you didn't see it last night with Yordenis Ugas. Errol Spence just tucked in those elbows and started just drilling those uppercuts and hooks from short range.
But Crawford used to wrestle. Okay, he knows all the.
That is an excellent
nuances.
Point, man.
He knows all the nuances and how to tie you up, and he's physically strong. Where you know what I mean. He could wrestle with you and everything, and meet your strength head on. But Joe, 1 second, go ahead, you and Bill. I gotta take care of this one little thing real quick, okay?
Very good, sir. Just let me know when you want to get back on, sir. Tell you what, Coach. You know what, Coach?
I told you. Hey,
yeah.
What did I tell you?
Oh, geez. You know what, man?
Who did I tell you Coach was leaning toward?
Well, he hasn't exactly said, but it sounds like he's leaning towards Terence Crawford Jr.
I told you.
You know what? And most people seem to be doing that. I tell you what, right now, young Bill, first of all, what was the crowd like? And did you get the attendance number last night when you were at AT&T Stadium, sir?
40,000, Joe.
You know, that's an excellent number. That's a respectable number. That's the number that Canelo had in the Alamo Dome with Austin Trout, 40,000.
Relative unknown in Ugas. Even though
that's my point. That's my point. That's a very impressive crowd. Guys, expect 60 to 70,000 if the Crawford Spence fight takes place there. But in my opinion, it won't. Okay, this is a fight where you're not going to see a clear A-B side in terms of location and venue. This fight has to take place at the MGM Grand Garden Arena or the T-Mobile Arena because that's the only – they're going to go with the biggest site fee in this one.
Absolutely.
One that's going to be able to cover the mammoth guaranteed purse that these guys are going to be requesting. Expect young Bill, both men to ask for $10 million apiece at least.
Absolutely. I expect it, Joe.
So guys, look for a fight in Vegas in August. Is either late August or late September, after or right before Canelo versus Triple G. Right.
The arena was insane, Joe. It was. Especially when Errol Spence came out to the Dallas song. It was the rap song.
Yeah.
It was amazing, Joe. Everybody in the crowd stood up. And it was maybe, I'm talking about, Joe, maybe 2% of the crowd was there having Cuban flags, but 1%. But everybody that was there was for Errol Spence. Even guys that were rooting for Esau Cruz had on Errol Spence shirts. Even the Latino crowd that was there, from Texas, they were rooting for Errol Spence. They had on Errol Spence shirts. It didn't matter. The demographic.
Yeah, and
brought on everybody.
And we stated that was going to be the case. We stated that was going to be the case because unfortunately, poor Yordenis Ugas, he couldn't sell out my living room on a Saturday night. But hold on, before we actually get Gogue back on the air because he's ready. Want to give a shout out to our brother Lance Meyer. Thank you for always supporting Warwick Radio. He says, "Young Billy Boxing. Hope you had an excellent time with the fights yesterday evening."
Oh, man.
And here's a comment by several guys, and I think they've got the beat, right?
Yes.
Jesus M says Raider Stadium, Spence versus Crawford. That's Allegiant Stadium. That's an excellent point. Rodney Evans said the same thing. Joe, why not Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play? That's an excellent point. Also give a shout out to our brother Sly Tendencies. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. And he says, yeah, they're trying to get paid and they deserve it after last night's show. And, and once again, Spence calling out Crawford. Yes, they deserve it. Chicano Prophet says, lots of us Latinos like Spence, just like we like Crawford. Two great fighters. Indeed, guys. Before we get Gogue back on the show, let me also give a shout out to someone I haven't announced yet. Our brother Tarian Falk, he says, PBC did that Mayweather-Pacquiao strategy with this fight without Top Rank. Well, we'll see if it pays off. Also going to shout out to our brother Pound, Salute Joseph, Young Bill, and Coach Gogue. And also want to give a shout out to our brother Texas Gunslinger. Welcome to the show. He says, yes, marinated well. Must be this year, though. I think that seems to be the consensus, guys. And without further ado, we're going to get Gogue back on. Coach Gogue, welcome back to the show, sir.
Yeah, Joe. Sorry about that little
No problem, brother. You're the star. You do what you want.
Yeah, sorry about that, though.
Kingpin Gogue.
Yep.
Kingpin Gogue.
I tell you what, though, right now, guys, if you want to know the first, now this is how real, okay, this fight is after last night's call out and announcement by Errol Spence Jr. that, hey, it's strap season. We got one more to go, and I'm getting that MF belt, right? Spence, after last night, they started to create betting lines. Spence is a minus 125, while
Really?
Crawford is a plus 105. Coach Gogue, do you agree with that? And who do you see eventually winning this seemingly imminent showdown?
This is like a 50-50 fight then, huh?
Yep. Close as it could be.
It's as even as it gets, sir.
Yeah, it's the same line as Butayev, Stanionis, Lubin, Fondora. You see what type of fights we got out of both of those.
Man, I'm still holding my cards with Crawford, okay?
I know it. Hey, Coach. Look, hey, Coach Gogue, we were talking on the phone before you came on. I said, man, I don't give a dang what happened last night. Coach Gogue's going with Terence Crawford. He said, we'll see, young Bill. I said, man, we going with. I said, Gogue's going with Coach Crawford.
I think he'll be able to neutralize that, that hard physical. That's going to be hard to do, though, for Crawford. To neutralize that hard physical pressure. You got to be physically strong, to get in the trenches and smother him and tie him up and wrestling him around, which he is. That's what, this was like a couple years ago, man. Or last year, I started seeing that. Okay, now he has that physical strength to, meet him in the pocket, not fight him, but just smother him and tie him up and everything. Okay, but outside, if this fight stays on the outside, long as this fight stays on the outside, Crawford's gonna box his ears off, man. Okay, at range and distance. Spence's only chance of winning this fight is right in the phone booth. Okay, and make it a battle of attrition. Trench warfare like he did with Ugas. But the thing is, I don't think Crawford, he knows how to adapt. Okay, he knows how to make adjustments and everything. And he has good, tying up skills, smothering skills, and neutralize all that shit that Spence brings to the table. Okay, but yeah, so they got Crawford, what, minus 125, Joe?
Minus 125 for Errol Spence, plus 105 for Terence Crawford.
Yeah, I'm still going with Crawford, man. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, like last night's fight, right, young Bill? Do you remember when we talked about Butayev versus Stanionis? I said this is a 50-50 fight, flip a coin.
Yep.
Well, that's how I see this one now. After last night's performance, after hearing Coach Gogue talk, I am slightly favoring Errol Spence Jr. I have for a very long time. But honestly, it's a coin flip. Here I go, guys. I've got my quarter ready. I'm going to flip a coin. Let's see what fate has in store for this one. You ready, guys?
Heads, tails.
Hold on, guys. I forgot to announce that. Yes, didn't I? Kogi, who has heads?
Crawford.
Okay, Spence's tails. Let's go. Oh, shit. Hold on. Okay, let me get it. It's heads. So fate says Bud Crawford. Fate agrees with Coach. Guys, there's only one way to find out is for both men to step foot in the ring. And once again, guys, there are no right or wrong answers until both men step in the ring and handle things like men. But I will say this, guys, on this show, Coach Gogue is right about 95% of the time.
Around 88%, yeah.
Mentiras. It's about 95, brother. You're never wrong on this show, Gogue.
I'm pretty damn good at breaking down the fight and what fighters need to do and I'm pretty damn good at breaking down fights, okay, and strategy and the game plans, like I did last week with Spence. Okay, he everything I said he needed to do, he did when he fought. Make it, and he was resilient. He was tough. He was meaner than Ugas. You know what I mean?
Yep. Want to welcome Khalid to the show. He says, not surprising. I think Bud will be the slight favorite closer to the fight if it happens. Guys, put it in the bank. Okay? You can count on it. it's going to happen either the final week of August or the final week of September after the either before or after Canelo versus Triple G. Okay? Take it to the bank, guys. It's going to happen. So, Coach Gogue, I'm going to give you your choice. This is your show, obviously. We're 35 minutes in. Would you like to break down and preview Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury, which is happening this Saturday night from Wembley Stadium in front of 94 packed fight fans from the UK? Or would you rather just break down and talk about last night's fight card from AT&T Stadium?
Pretty much I broke it down. What happened last night. Spence was just a meaner, tougher, more violent, more resilient fighter than Ugas in the pocket. Ugas basically, he's just sat there like a punching bag. Look, he was getting hit by them uppercuts. He was just standing squared up in the pocket like a punching bag. Okay, he didn't punch back. He didn't offer no punch resistance. Every time, Spence was digging body shots or head, he didn't fire back, with his body shots or head shots. He just stood there and took the punches like a punching bag. He didn't fight back. I thought he would throw back, and he didn't. I guarantee you Crawford ain't gonna be like that. He ain't gonna be no punching bag just sitting there. Okay, he's smart. He'll neutralize that his inside attack somehow. By best way to do it is smother him, tie him up. Don't give him that space he needs to, throw those short, crisp, compact combinations up and down and up. Okay, don't give Spence that opportunity to work inside and everything. Okay, break his rhythm and timing by smothering him and everything. And Spence, he's got to eliminate all that shit by not letting Crawford tie him up, by not letting Crawford smother him, and not letting Crawford, get that space he needs. A little, just a little, not a lot. Okay, it's called compact phone booth warfare. Okay, that's why it's called close quarters combat, and that's what he needs to do. Then, if he does that, advantage Crawford. Okay, but this fight last night, it was, you had one guy that was, he gave a good showing, but most of the time he was just stood there like this in the pocket. You know what I mean? He didn't fire back. Okay, there was no punch. There was pretty much no punch output from him when Spence started, letting his hands go. God damn, you should have countered those shots, especially when he was going to the body. When Spence was throwing them body shots, just catch and counter with uppercuts. He was there to be hit.
And Coach, hey, Coach, let me ask you a question though. How prevalent is that for guys to shell up, man, when they don't like those body shots, when those body shots start to hurt, or when those guys start getting
block them correctly, it don't hurt, and you can capitalize off them by countering up the middle because they're going to be open. You know what I mean? Yep. Riddick Bowe was good at that. You threw a left hook to the body, he'll counter you.
Riddick Bowe was
right
excellent at that.
Big Daddy Bowe. You throw a left hook to the body, he'll counter you with the right uppercut, and that's what you do. You got to discourage him from throwing body shots by countering his body shots with uppercuts. You know what I mean? That's best way to discourage somebody from throwing their best punches is to counter it. But the guy has a good jab, you discourage him by countering that jab. Going over it with the right hand over the top. Or parrying the jab and jabbing back. But or a guy has a good right hand, catch and counter with the left hook. And that's what Ugas. I thought he would counter back effectively when he would block those shots, and he didn't. He just took them. I'm like, come on, man, you got to fire back, man. You're letting this guy just beat up on you for free, man. It was free lunch, and he wasn't giving no punch resistance back to Spence. That's why I got kind of irritated, man. Especially when Spence was digging him. What is it? The right hooks to the body, his right hooks to Eagles. He could have blocked and countered with a left hook back to the head. He was open, man. See, when you open yourself up with body shots, okay, when a fighter opens themselves up throwing body shots, their head's open. So you gotta counter with the best shot available, to take advantage of that opening and everything. And when what Spence. Let me see. I'm right here. He throws that left hook to the that right hook to the body. Catch with the right. Catch and counter with the left hook. You know what I mean?
Well, I will say this: it was reported from his manager, and press release was sent out to all media members that he suffered cracked ribs as well as a broken right orbital bone yesterday. So maybe that had something to do with it. But Gogue, exactly what you're talking about, though, has started all of this controversy. And this is what our brother Tyrese Bowie was actually referring to. He said, yeah, Ugas must have watched Loma versus Rigo, but only watched Rigo. That was me on the thread on Twitter, busting your chops with Ring IQ, going back and forth with you, talking about how Ugas threw the fight. And also, a lot of people seem to think that, well, Lawrence Cole got the assignment because the fix was in. And once again, this is just fan-driven nonsense. Yeah. Coach, a lot of people have been complaining about referee Lawrence Cole. You didn't think he did that bad of a job, though, did you?
I thought he did a great job. You know what I mean? It wasn't Spence's fault that he got hit spitting his mouthpiece out. He forgot to protect himself at all times. Okay, that's where it goes. You know what, Joe? He was probably instructed by Greg Alvarez. Hey, man, watch his eye and call the doctor in if you feel it's getting worse. And that's what he did. Hey, man, nowadays, what do you call it? It's liability, man. There's a high liability.
What? Yeah. Gogue, that is a brilliant point because I didn't think about that. And I'm sure most fans haven't thought about that. But you've noticed things have changed dramatically. They're a lot more conservative now than they used to be. Refs, sanctioning organizations, state athletic commissions. Ever since New York got sued for multi-millions of dollars, I think over $30 million to be exact, and it was rewarded to the family of Magomed Abdusalamov, former heavyweight, when he had brain bleed and the fight wasn't stopped against the Cuban fighter. Was it Gomez?
I can't remember.
Mike Gomez, I think, was the fighter. Nonetheless, the New York State Athletic Commission got sued, and they lost. Judgment was given to Magomed's family for, I think, over $30 million. So since then, things have changed, right? In every state athletic commission, they're not as liberal in allowing guys to fight through injury. So, yeah, they've become a lot more conservative. So that's an excellent point. And especially with Texas, they've been under fire in the past decade, giving guys boxing licenses like Margarito and Evander Holyfield. And now most recently, Chris Bird.
Yeah.
So
but you know what? I really believe, man, he was in between rounds. I'm pretty sure the doctor and Greg Alvarez told him, hey, man, Lawrence, watch that eye. If he keeps getting hit by it, stop the fight and send him to the doctor. And I wouldn't be surprised if the doctor told Greg Alvarez or Greg Alvarez told the doctor, hey, man, make a what do you call it? Make the correct decision if you gotta.
Yeah, guys, if you don't know who Greg Alvarez is, he's the head of the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations. And Lawrence Cole is obviously the son of the late the former head of the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations. That was Mr. Dickie Cole, God rest his soul. But, so that's the conspiracy, guys. I hope everything Coach Gogue has told you helped. Our brother Snoop C says both Spence and Ugas got the benefit of referee intervention at critical points, so it evens things out. Guys, it's a moot point. The better fighter won. Just take it like a man, guys. Someone has to win, someone has to lose. And our brother Ladar says this, making excuses when Spence wins. They say the fight is fixed. Yeah, you know what, guys? Just stop all of that nonsense, please. It takes away from Spence's performance and the majesty of the event. Okay? That was a great fight we saw last night and a brilliant elite level performance. And now it sets up Spence versus Crawford. Coach, did you see any of the other fights on last night's fight action? Last night's card from AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, I got to see all of them.
Oh boy.
Boy, he's gonna be a force to deal with because he's relentless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Isaac Cruz.
Yep.
And Joe, he's awkward. He's sneaky awkward in his punches. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You don't see him coming from close quarters. You better be prepared for him when you fight him, man. Especially when he gets close. Some punches come where you don't see him, and he throws combinations that normal fighters don't throw. And if you never see them type of combinations coming, you're going to get hit by him, man. You know what I mean? Like, for example, he'll throw that right, left to the body. He'll come back with that right uppercut up the middle. You know what I mean? Or he'll slip and throw a little short, whipping, crisp left hook, and he'll follow it with the overhand right, which he did with what's that guy's name that got knocked out? Gamboa. Yeah.
Yuriorkis Gamboa. Yep.
Yeah, he's just sneaky and crafty, and he's resilient. He's a hard target to hit, Joe, because he stays low. You know what I mean? And he has a tight guard defense. So when you fight that motherfucker, you better hurt him. You better discourage him and everything.
But how do you hurt a guy with no neck and a head like a coffee can?
Yeah, he's over aggressive. He's over aggressive, Joe. You gotta catch him at opportune moments where he runs into a punch. You
know what, Coach? Yeah. You saw Gamboa try to make those adjustments, started figuring out that pattern of when he was going to actually throw that left, throw that uppercut, and he started to avoid shots, but he couldn't return fire. He had no legs underneath him. He was shot. He landed some shots, but it was like throwing BBs on a wall against a wall. It was just sad. Our brother, well, first of all, let me welcome our brother Troll Master Mike to the show. He says, easy money on Crawford. Coach Gogue knows it too.
We'll
see.
Know if it's easy, but I have a good feeling he's going to win.
Well, also going back to when you were talking about Ugas, right, and complaining about what Ugas didn't do, our brother Antonio Luna says, Coach Gogue, what made Ugas become a stationary target for Spence?
That relentless pressure, he couldn't keep Spence off him. And his ability not to fire back, okay?
And them crack ribs, Coach.
Yeah, he did suffer from crack ribs.
Shit, man, okay?
Yeah, that's true. You got to fight through it. Coach, were you able to see Butayev versus Stanionis?
Oh, like I thought, Joe, it was a toe-to-toe battle.
But brilliant.
Stellantis was a better toe-to-toe trench warfare fighter, okay?
Stanionis, yes, from Lithuania.
Yeah. He landed a more crisper, sharper, close, compact combinations in the pocket, and from range, he was hitting Butayev with that jab a lot and everything. Yeah, me personally, I didn't like that fact that Joe L. Diaz had him go in the pocket, try to battle him toe to toe at his strength. I would have kept it long and rangy as possible, and with that jab, countered him, led with combinations from the outside. Once he got in the inside, just smother him, tie him up. Okay, don't try to go toe to toe with him at what he does best, and a lot of feints and movement and everything. Okay, but he was getting hit by what's that guy's name?
Stanionis.
He was getting hit by his jab, and I was talking to Raul Marquez, who was gonna call that fight for Showtime. We were talking about.
He was doing the Latin commentary last night, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did that English one with him and the fight with Stalonis and that Brandon Lee fight. And I told Raw he's gonna have to neutralize that Stalonis jab, man, because if not, it's gonna be difficult for that Stalonis to keep him. It's gonna be difficult for that guy Joel Diaz trains to keep him off him, and he's gonna get that space he needs. Okay, and that jab was really effective. It's sneaky, it's crisp. And you got to time it, and I don't think they were prepared. Honestly, Joe, I don't think they were prepared for a proficient jab like that. Because if they were, I know going in, I knew the dude had a good jab. I would have worked on a lot of ways to counter that jab or not get hit by that jab, okay? And that would have took away, to me, his best weapon. That was his best weapon, is that jab.
Yeah, you know what, Coach? That's
he
brilliant.
Really got close. And
that's
Can you actually tell our listeners and tell us, how do you actually take away a mammoth jab like that? I mean, we've seen it a couple times. We've seen it. Andre Ward did a brilliant job of taking away the Mikkel Kessler jab in that Super 6. So what can you do as a prize fighter if you're faced against a guy like Stanionis or Mikkel Kessler and taking away that jab?
It's in practice, baby. Practice countering the jab. Practice parrying the jab. Practice defending yourself against the jab. Now, a lot of times, guys ain't got the reflex to see that quick snapping jab he does. So change your defense up. Make it a nice, tight, high guard defense like Winky Wright. Okay, when he fought Trinidad, or Roy Jones when he fought Trinidad. Get that high, tight guard defense where that jab can't penetrate your gloves. Okay, a lot of guys ain't got the reflexes to see that, because look, man, if you ain't got the reflex to see that jab coming, you can't counter it. Okay, simple. So you gotta make that adjustment with the high guard defense. I did that with my guy Lupe DeLeon, who we fought Gary Russell when he was coming up, and Gary, he was head and shoulders above my guy in terms of talent, and I had to tighten my guy's defense. I said, man, if we didn't have my guy didn't have no reflexes to see those jabs coming or to counter it, so I had a high guard defense, and Gary's jab couldn't penetrate my guy's high guard defense. And the dad told me that after the fight, him and Gary, they walked up to me. They go, "Hey, that was smart what you did." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, your guy had his hands up, and the way you angled the gloves in, he goes, my son couldn't get a clean shot off on him. I said, "Damn right, hell, man, your son's too fast for my guy." He goes, "That was smart what you did, man." Yeah, and that's what basically I would have done. Take away that damn jab. Once you take away Stallone's jab, he can't get into rhythm. Okay.
Indeed. Well, Jesus M has a couple harsh words for our brother, Coach Joel Diaz. He says, Coach Joel Diaz was given instructions to Butayev, such as he finished throwing more punches. Horrible. He's finished. Throw more punches.
You got to hit more too.
No, look. Sometimes guys like Joel Diaz, just to bring out the confidence in guys like Butayev, just to get them to let their hands go. They'll say, "Hey, man, he's petrified of you. He's scared of you. He's got no more energy. He already threw all of his punches. He's running low. His gas tank is emptying. Go after him." It's because he wants him to let his hands go more. They don't believe that he's done, and they definitely don't believe that he's petrified of his fighter, but they want them to have that confidence to move forward. It's something that old school trainers used to tell their fighters all the time.
Yeah.
And Joel Diaz is a product of old school methods, right? He's an excellent fight trainer, guys.
Yeah, he's excellent.
I will say this. I was a bit surprised, and I was, a little taken aback to Robert Garcia, and I love Robert. He's one of the best trainers in boxing. But did you hear his corner work? Did you hear him talking to the Riverside Rocky last night?
I don't listen because I get it in Spanish over here, so I don't.
Okay, Josecito Lopez was taking a beating from Cody Crowley, right? It was a one-sided beatdown, and it was obvious that, Riverside Rocky, Josecito Lopez was, he's shot. Didn't have his legs underneath him, no leverage on his shots. His punches were just bouncing off of his opponent. It was a one-sided beating. And so Robert Garcia kept on asking him, "Hey, do you want me to stop the fight? Do you want me to stop the fight?" Saying, "Hey, man." And at one point he even said, "Hey, you know what? You can't win this fight unless you land a lucky punch, and I don't think that's going to happen. Do you want me to stop?" It's like, why was he saying that, Coach? Why would a guy like Robert Garcia say that to a real warrior who has no quit in him like Josecito Lopez?
Because he was getting beat. He was getting beat up, and if you don't show me something, I'm going to stop the fight.
Yeah, why didn't he just stop the fight then?
Joe. What's his name's a warrior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give him the option to to call it a day. You don't do it for them.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. He deserves that, doesn't he, Coach?
Yeah. Robert did the right thing.
You know,
they just faced a better fighter than Lopez. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at this stage of his career, yeah, that was pretty obvious. It was it was hard to watch, actually, Coach. And I will say this, was a star born last night when Jose Rayo Valenzuela just smacked the living snot out of Francisco Bandito Vargas, sending him in retirement with a first-round knockout, with Mark Calloy jumping in the middle of the action and saying, nuh-uh, that's enough. You're done. Welcome to the old folks' home, brother. Coach, did you see Rayo Valenzuela make light work of the once gritty and hard-nosed Francisco Vargas?
Yeah, but I knew Vargas was shot going into the fight. All the wars he's had, all the punishment he's taken over the years. Yeah, so he got caught with that. That guy's a good fighter, that Valenzuela, Jose Valenzuela. He's southpaw, good, a good boxer, smart. Puts throws good combinations, and he can punch. He's a good little fighter. He's a good little prospect coming up.
Indeed. Is someone to watch at 135 pounds. Here to there, Gibbs makes us the correction. Thank you, here to there. We appreciate your knowledge, sir, and your input to the show always. He says it was Mike Perez, gentlemen, versus Magomed Abdusalamov. That ultimately ended Mago's career, and he was going into that fight one of the best heavyweight prospects in boxing. Yeah, well, that's a damn shame. And our thoughts and prayers go to Magomed, who, from what I've heard, is still not the same. Probably never will be. Give a shout out to our brother, Mini Meal. How you doing, brother? Thank you for listening. Welcome to the show. Here to there also says, yeah, guys, Gamboa was a great champ, but needs to be put out to pasture. That was uncomfortable watching him last night, along with El Band-Aid. Oh, jeez.
I told you, Joe.
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
man, Gamboa was gonna get messed up, man.
Yep. I'll tell you what. So, Coach, do you want to talk about next Saturday's fight?
Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. Well,
90,000 people, man. That's
94,000 people. Well, let's rattle off then the tail of the tape for the title challenger. He's been waiting over half a decade for this opportunity. It's finally only a week away, and boy, he looks to be in tremendous shape. Guys, let's rattle off the tail of the tape for the body snatcher. He's going to come into the ring I don't see his age here. They don't list his age. So
34, Joe. He's 34 years old.
That's right. He is 34, and that is fighting prime for a heavyweight fighter. He's going to come to the ring, fights out of the orthodox stance. He stands 6'4" inches tall in the center of the ring, fights behind a 78-inch reach. Originally from Port Antonio, Jamaica, now resides in Brixton, London, UK. And he comes into the ring with a fine record of 28 wins, 2 losses, 19 big wins coming by way of knockout. Coach Gogue, what's there to like about Dillian, the body snatcher Whyte?
Man, he's an aggressive physical fighter, and he's a heavyweight. He could punch, okay? He's been in a lot of tough fights, so he's got a lot of experience under his belt, okay? But does he have a chance to win? Very slim. Very, very slim, because he's fighting a guy that's 6'9" and athletic and rangy, who can fight inside if he has to, but he ain't going to have to, you know what I mean? But what's his name? He's a tough, durable, physical heavyweight with a lot of, a lot of good rounds under his belt. A lot of good opponents he's fought and everything.
So that leads. So I tell you what, now we go to tell the tape then for his opponent, the current WBC and Ring Magazine heavyweight champion of the world, the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. Yeah. He's got to come to the ring in prime time as well, age 33 for a heavyweight. That's prime time. He stands 6'9" tall in the center of the ring, 85-inch reach. He fights behind an orthodox stance sometimes. Originally from Manchester, Lancashire, England. He's going to be the visiting fighter in this fight. He resides officially in Henderson, Nevada. He's actually going to be the visiting fighter in this one, Coach. He comes in the ring with a very impressive record, 31 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw, 22 big wins coming by way of knockout. Coach Gogue, why are the odds stacked in favor of Tyson Fury?
Shit, he's heavyweight champion of the world, 6'9", about 270, and athletic, rangy, mobile, intelligent. Jeez. Against a one-dimensional fighter in Dillian Whyte, a guy that can, if he has to go in the pocket, he can fight in the pocket and get rough, like he did against Wilder. Okay, he throws beautiful. He threw in the pocket. He's a very smart, intelligent inside fighter. He rips some uppercuts, the hooks, the body shots. He uses his big size and weight advantage over you and leans on you to get you tired. He'll wrestle with you, to get you tired. Then he'll take it back outside and flick that jab in his face to land that big right hand. But he can throw every punch in the book, Joe. Fury. He's very intelligent too, Joe. He knows how to adapt, and he knows how to use all the weapons in his arsenal. Okay, and I can't see how White is going to beat him.
Yeah, the odds makers, handicappers, and people putting down money, well, they seem to agree with you. But going into fight week, well, they originally started out with Tyson Fury being as high as, 8-1 and a minus 800 on a lot of sports books. Now it's somewhat shrinking. The one that we usually consult is the BetMGM out of Vegas. They have Tyson Fury listed now as a minus 600 or 6-1 betting favorite, with Dillian Whyte being a very live plus 400 or 4-1 betting underdog. Coach, why are people starting to put money on Dillian Whyte this week?
Hell, I don't know. I don't know who's driving the line down lower, man. But 8-1 is fair. Joe, they're just trying to. Gamblers or speculators. Okay, they're just trying to make some quick money.
That is true. They are speculators. Absolutely. Well, and to be fair, this is the heavyweight division. This is the ultimate theater of the unexpected, where anything can change with one punch. Look at Corey Sanders going into his fight with Vladimir Klitschko when he was the WBO title holder. He was a 25-1 betting underdog, and the WBO didn't even want to sanction this as a title defense because he had been inactive for a year and a half. He comes into the ring and he starches Vladimir in 3 rounds.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Stranger things have happened. And, Coach, there are stories that maybe Tyson Fury isn't as focused as he needs to be. Basically saying that this is his last fight. He's going to retire. He's going to make movies. He's going to work with the WWE. He's going to do other things. So maybe that has something to do with it. Coach, could this turn out to resemble Lennox Lewis versus Hasim Rahman 1?
He gets hit on that chin with that overhand right. That's what Dillian Whyte has to do to win that fight. Keep it close and land that overhand right over the top. Just go for broke, man. Okay,
man,
do or die.
That left hook is dangerous too. And you know what, Joe? He looked in way better shape than I thought he would.
The overhand right is going to be a weapon to land on a taller guy. Okay, that left hook is the second, but it's the overhand right is the weapon to throw.
You know what? I have this feeling, though. I do have this feeling that he's going to come out just like Layman Brewster did against Andrew Galata and just try to take it to him immediately, not let him get warm. I have a sick feeling that Dillian Whyte is going to come right at him. And Gogue, you said you would?
I would, yeah. Go right after him, before he gets warmed up, before he starts getting into rhythm. Get that medium range. Throw that jab to the body. That'll get him to drop that left hand a little and loop that overhand right over the top. Yeah. And
when Layman Brewster had the WBO title and defended against Andrew Galata, knocking him out in his hometown of Chicago, Jesse Reed was in his corner, the great Jesse Reed. And he said, well, Jesse Reed was watching tape, and he told him, throw the left hook to the body and immediately go upstairs with the same left hook because he'll bring his arms down as soon as you hit that body. And that's exactly what it did. He did, and he went night-night. Can you see Dillian Whyte doing the same thing to Tyson Fury?
Yeah, whatever. Well, to me, I would hit the body first and come over the top, whether it's the left hook or overhand right. But I just know Whyte. I seen him. He likes that overhand right. That's one of his best weapons, going over the top. That's what I would do. A shorter guy fighting a taller guy, getting that range you need, and just whip it, just sneak it over the top. Yep. Bobby Chacon. I learned that from Bobby Chacon.
Bobby Chacon
and Rocky Lockridge. They had beautiful overhand rights. When
Rocky Lockridge.
Yep.
Yeah. When I was coming up, that was one of their staples, is that overhand right. A brutal weapon.
Oh, geez, man. Great fighters, great fights. I tell you what, let's go back in the past, because I promised this gentleman that we would bring it up on this week's show. Let me see if I can get back to it. He brought up, let me see if I can. Okay. I think it was Here to There who brought it up, because he's somewhat of a historian. Let me bring this up. My apologies, guys. I'm trying to go up into the chat. Let's see. Anyway, I think it was Here to There who asked about, or maybe it was, I don't know. He asked about your work with Jim Rex Jaca in preparation for Juan Manuel Marquez. Yeah. Talk about game planning for JMM and turning the who you characterize as a cutie pie.
Yeah, I've told the story around a few times. Basically, it was his mindset. Okay.
Yep.
If you watch tape of him, I watched one tape of him fight before I got started working with him. And I'm like, this ain't going to do it when we fought Marquez. That running around the ring and being cute, nah. He's got to get a more physical, a violent, assertive mindset to attack. Okay, that was it. All right. Then after that, him and his coach, I was helping him. I told him that's the way you got to do, man. This is, that's the way you got to fight this guy and what do you call it? Embedded in his mindset that when you go out there and fight, that's what you got to attack Marquez from the bell on. Okay. From the first bell on, you got to attack. And that's the main thing was his mindset. You know what I mean? And, I didn't really have great sparring over there. We made the best of what we did, and the running and all that got him in shape, but it was a mindset, to not be a cutie pie and run around the ring, be more physical, more violent. Okay. More assertive, resilient. Okay.
Yeah, because that came up last week, Coach, on a different show, because we were talking about, well, I was questioning why on earth did Lawrence Cole get the assignment when I had heard that Mark Calloy had the assignment first.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out why that happened. I'm like, why would you put Lawrence Cole, who hasn't really been in a big assignment in, well, quite some time, and now you're putting him in the center of the ring with Spence and Ugas?
Politics, baby.
Yep. He was the son of the former head of the Texas Department of License and Regulation, the late, great Dickie Cole. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Lawrence. He's a great guy. Very smart. Yeah, and you thought he did. You thought he wasn't too officious?
Nah, he did a good job yesterday, man. Look, he's got his boss breathing down his neck, man. When Ugas' eye was swollen. So, I'm pretty sure between rounds, Greg goes, hey. And he looked at the doc too. Hey, if I were you, take a look at his eye. If he keeps taking punches to the eye, stop it. Because, hey, man, he could have got blind in one eye, man. He did the right thing, man.
Yep. Shit. Well, the reason why it came up was, do you remember that fight, Coach, where Lawrence Cole was caught on tape advising JMM, hey, man, it's after the fourth round.
You're winning the fight.
You're winning the fight. It goes to the judges' scorecards, and you're ahead in the fight. You're winning the fight. You can quit right now. Do you remember that? He got suspended for 6 months.
Yeah, he did that, man, because Marquez got cut real bad and everything. And he goes, hey, man, it's past 6 rounds. We could go to scorecard if you want. Man, you don't say shit like that. I'm like, I didn't even know look, Joe, I was in the corner. I didn't know what he was saying. I know he walked over there. And I remember that round. He walked over there and was talking to him. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about until I got on I watched the replay, man. I'm like, what the, You don't tell fighters that shit. It was a what do you call it? A lack of judgment, okay? What he did, Lawrence.
Yep.
And he got suspended. His dad suspended him for 6 months, which he got.
That's
coming.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right. And also, guys, when he brought up Raul Marquez, and you were telling him about, the Stanionis jab when he was calling the Brandon Lee Stanionis Butev fight, would you like to explain why you were telling him this, Coach? Like, have you guys ever wondered why Raul Marquez is such a great color commentator for Showtime?
About what? The jab?
No, about everything. Why? Have you guys ever wondered why Raul Marquez is such an effective and proficient color commentator, one of the best in sports? Have you ever wondered why?
I take care of him all week. All week. What do you call it? He had some assignments, man. He was hosting the YouTube show, the weigh-in.
Yep.
So I had to give him the breakdown on that, on what Spence had to do, what Ugas had to do, what he does. The strengths and weaknesses of both fighters, keys to victory, and all that. Then the Stellonis fight, we talked about that fight. Strengths and weaknesses of both guys. He was telling me about the jab. I said, yeah, man, that guy's jab is good, man. You're going to have to neutralize it. If you don't neutralize it, boy, it's going to, what do you call it? It's going to affect Butev, and he's not going to be able to get in rhythm, okay? And, pretty much happened. They didn't neutralize the jab, and Stanionis was using that jab effectively. And you can see when you land more clear jabs throughout the fight, the refs, the judges see that shit, and they're going to give you the, what do you call it? They're going to give you the nod on close rounds. If you're landing cleaner jabs, more consistent, cleaner jabs, they're going to give you the nod in close rounds, okay? Because there are effective scoring punches that, hell, you cannot miss. And, and just stuff like that. We talked, I always prepare Raw, for he's got a big he's getting more responsibility with Showtime. He's starting to host.
Yep. I've seen it.
He's starting to call fights in English for Showtime. He should be he should be calling fights in English for Showtime.
I agree. Not Abramades.
They're trying to, I don't know, they're trying to make that flunky Abner Morris something he's not. All right? Raul Marquez should be calling the fights for Showtime, not him.
So guys, Yep, Houstonian. That's right. So, guys, in case you're wondering, Raul Marquez, that's Gogue's former fighter, right?
Well, I worked with him 15 years. His dad trained him, but I worked the corners. I worked the corners. Shit, I don't know, fucking so many fights. 15 years, like that. Yeah.
So, guys, in case you're wondering, that's why Raul Marquez is so sharp.
Oh yeah.
He's still coached by Coach Gogue. Just
I've done it ever since he started broadcasting fights in the 90s. Yep. All right. Once I remember his first show. I said, bro, you got
on Showbox.
Man, dude, I gotta work with you, man. I gotta help you break down these fights, man. Because you're not gonna, I said, man, you gotta. It doesn't look good what you're doing. You're not. He was green and inexperienced, so I had to teach him how to break down fights and everything. Strengths and weaknesses and keys to victory. What this guy got to do, what this guy got to. So you sound like an expert. A lot of guys can fight, but can they break down? A lot of guys can fight, but can they break down fights? Strengths and weaknesses of both opponents, keys to victory. Tim Bradley does it pretty good. He studies. I can see he does his homework.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andre Ward does. That Sean Porter does. I can see they do their homework. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's going to pay off for young Bill and I because we get to listen to you every single Sunday. And we're going to be calling fights on May 28th.
These breakdowns I do on the show, I don't watch the tape. I don't watch fights. I just go in my head. I remember how they fight. I remember both guys, strengths and weaknesses of both guys. What do they got to do to win the fights? Okay, but it's Tyson. I don't watch fights no more.
Jeez, Coach, what happened?
Well, I don't need to, man. I watched enough fights in my lifetime where if I got a style, man, that's gonna give me problems. Like it's giving me problems. Like I can't get concrete answers in my head. Then I'll watch 6-7 rounds of it to get a better familiarity with the fighter. Okay. Then I start getting concrete answers in my head on what he needs, on strengths and weaknesses of the guy, and his game plan, what he needs to do to win the fight. Yeah.
Amazing. I tell you what, Coach, last but not least, the only thing we really haven't covered this evening, right, is Brandon Lee. We haven't talked about that yet. Brandon Lee actually going the distance for only the second time in his entire career against Zachary Ochoa.
He fought a guy that was trying to survive. When you fight a guy that's trying to survive, they're hard to knock out, and it doesn't make you look good. Simple.
Yeah. So one thing that I've been hearing from some guys who I actually have respect for, they were telling me that Brandon Lee he's having trouble making 140 these days. Is that true, do you think? Or was it all Zachary Ochoa?
No, I think so. I think he needs to move up in weight, man. You can't kill yourself. He's a young kid that he's growing. So let him move up in weight.
And there it is.
Who
there
told
it
you
is.
that, Joe? He has a hard time making weight.
Two guys told me that. Big Lou DiBella and Rick Blazer.
Well, guess what? If he has a hard time making weight, then it's time to move up, because he made 142.5 for this fight. Okay. All right. Why starve him? Why let him starve? Hey, move
That
up
is
in
true.
weight.
That is true. I tell you what, the 47-pound division is already stacked. Can you imagine Brandon Lee in it now?
Well, let's see if his power transfers to the welterweight division. Okay.
Tell you what, I can't wait to find out, Coach.
Yeah.
And there it is, Coach. Now, look, guys, I don't want to talk about any other fights on the boxing schedule for next week. I mean, do you really want Gogue to talk about John Real Casimiro versus Paul Butler, or Jazza Dickens?
Good, man.
Or
we called all the big fights. Yeah.
or Jazza Dickens versus Andoni Gago?
I don't know these guys, man.
And there it is, guys. And Antonio Luna has the beat. He says, great boxing knowledge on Easter Day, not from the Easter Bunny, but from the Gogue Bunny. One of a kind. He's James Gogue. And here to there says, brilliant, Coach. You said it all. The game is mental. Don't try to outbox a master like Juan Manuel Marquez. Indeed.
Fuck no. Take it to that motherfucker and make him fight. That was my attitude. Yeah.
Oh, there it is, Jonathan Simon. Thank you for always joining us, sir, and supporting the YouTube boxing community. He says, Young Bill, that's what I do. I break the fighters down. That's why I don't give predictions. I will say this, guys. One thing that Emmanuel Stewart taught me, and this is something that Gogue has no problem doing, and I learned how not to do this. I make prediction articles every week for all these fights. And, Emmanuel Stewart once told me, hey, don't take them seriously. Because if you do, your ego is going to get in the way, and it's going to affect how you view the action, because you always want to be right.
Yeah. Yep.
So, guys, try to separate that or else you'll find yourself, it'll really affect how you view the action. You'll have that emotionally invested interest. That's right.
That's why after the fight, I listened to the replay of my breakdown and the keys of victory and what I said, because I forgot what I said, man. I was like, man, what did I say? So I forgot what I said. So after I wanted to see if what I said on the show came true, and I was like, damn, everything worked. Everything I said came to fruition. What Spence did and what Ugas was doing and everything. I thought it would go to distance, so I didn't think it would be a knockout. So.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be a knockout either. Young Bill actually stated that we could see a knockout. But Young Bill, before we say goodnight to everyone, do you have anything left for Coach James Gogue, sir?
Man, I just appreciate the show, and I appreciate talking to Coach Gogue. And I can't wait for this fight, the Bud Crawford Errol Spence fight. I know it's a long time coming, but I'm just glad we're getting
Bill,
it.
Young Bill, don't get your hopes up high. This is 21st century boxing. Some shit will blow this fight up where it doesn't happen, just like Charlo and Munguia.
Oh, guys, you know what? Don't say that, guys.
Hey,
don't
man,
say that.
That's the way this shit is nowadays.
I was thinking about, and one guy, one member of the YouTube boxing community was asking me, is like, hey, come on, this fight has to happen. It may not happen when you want it, but these fights always happen. Give me a fight that you wanted to see that never happened. And I will say this, and they were both on the same promotional banner. Juanma Lopez versus Yuriorkis Gamboa.
Yeah.
That was a fight that should have happened. Everyone was dying to see it, and it never did. So Gogue may be right. Guys, don't count your chickens before the eggs have hatched.
Yeah.
And there it is. Lance Meyer. Coach Joseph Young Billy, shout out to 21st Century Boxing. God bless you, brother. Thank you so much for spending your Easter evening with us. It's now 11:25. We're almost approaching 90 minutes. Young Bill, is it too early to announce, well, your big evening this summer?
No, yeah, it's too early. Too early. Too early. I'm not going to announce it yet.
All right, very good. Well, when you decide, we're going to blow it up for you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Woo, woo, woo. Can't wait. But, Coach, hold on. Jonathan Simon says, Coach, tell him this isn't Ray Leonard versus Thomas Hearns.
Not even fucking close. I lived in that era, the 70s, 80s. I know what boxing is, all right? I got into shit in the 80s. I started training fighters in the 80s, and I seen it when it was 15 rounds, same day weigh-ins and all that. So
God bless you, Lance. Thank you so much. You have a good night, brother. And I tell you what, on that note, we're going to bid everyone a very excellent Sunday evening, a very happy Easter once again. And guys, don't forget to join us. We're going to be joined by Coach Louis Villarreal tomorrow evening. We're also going to be joined by his main eventer, Jairo Castañeda, who's going to be our main event fighter on May 28th card with Undisputed Pound for Pound Entertainment, as well as Ferocious Promotions. Coach Gogue, do you have any parting shots for our listening audience, sir?
Just looking forward to watching Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. 94,000 fans. That's major news, man. So.
Indeed, it should be a packed house. Young Bill, do you have any parting shots or anything to announce before we actually bid everyone adieu?
Well, Coach Gogue, yeah, thank you for the knowledge every Sunday when you can, and
welcome.
Yeah, and thank you for always breaking it down and being honest and being frank. And yeah, I appreciate everything that you teach me and teach everybody in the chat. Thanks everybody that keep supporting. Thank you,
thanks everybody for
helping me out.
tuning the fuck in. Thank you.
We're all the wiser for it, Coach Gogue. Thanks for everything you do. And guys, in case you missed any part of the show, it'll be available on demand as soon as we sign off. But on behalf of Young Billy Boxing, on behalf of Maestro James Gogue, I'm Joseph Heron. You've been listening to War Week Radio. Have a great week, everybody.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game. It's all about the game and how you play it. All about control. And if you can take it, all about your debt. And if you can pay it, it's all about pain. And who's gonna make it? I am the game. You don't wanna play me. I am control. No way you can shake me. I am heavy debt. No way you can pay me. I am the pain, and I know you can't take me. Look over your shoulder, ready to run like a Cleveland bitch from a smoking gun. I am the game, and I may lose. So move on out. You can die like a fool. Trying to figure out what my move's gonna be. Come on over, sucker. Why don't you ask me? Don't you forget there's a price you can pay. 'Cause I am the game and I want to play.
Pound for Pound Entertainment and Ferocious Promotions proudly present Spence vs. Crawford Big Fight Preview with 5-decade fight trainer James Gogue.